Hello and welcome, and thank you all for joining us for another episode of the Cultured Nerd Podcast. Episode 7 will be about Stranger Things 4. Has it been the best season yet, or is this just the beginning? Is it going to get weirder? Is it going to get stranger? Is it going to get more crazy? Let's talk about it, because this show has been a crazy one. So, kind of like the rest of the world, I binged watched the crap out of Stranger Things this last week.
Yeah, you
And
did.
Yeah, I did.
That's
But yeah,
the
before
only way to watch it. Do people
it
watch
really,
it? It's the most bingeable show. You watch it in one fell swoop as much as possible.
yeah, you do. But before we talk about it, let's talk about another thing that people are binging.
Oh yeah.
When is the last time you watched an episode of Smallville, Tom?
I mean, I don't even, probably forever.
What do you say we revisit?
Well, like watch an entire episode?
No, I mean like watch an entire series. Join Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum every week as they rewind every episode of Smallville and discuss their experiences with friends, fans, and co-stars. Talkville, the ultimate Smallville podcast.
Tom looks more buff now than he ever did as a kid. He looks super buff. He could be Superman again. He could absolutely be Superman again.
And I was so bummed out that he didn't wear the suit. And then multiple times they've asked him to come back and do it. Like in the Crisis on Infinite Earths, like he could have been a jacked Superman. I don't know why they didn't like do that. I mean, if you watch the show Lucifer, he got hella jacked for that show.
He's a big boy in that show.
Yeah, he plays. I'm not going to say he plays for people who haven't seen it, but he's like, I was watching it. I'm like, damn, Superman got big.
Wait a second. We're not here to spoil Lucifer. We're here to spoil another show about demons and things from the ground and the upside down. Stranger Things season 4
Spoiler
has
alert.
dropped. Yeah.
We will talk so much about this season that if you haven't seen it yet, first off, if you haven't seen it yet, where have you been? Because anyone who's already watched the entire show off of day 2. So
anyone has already watched all of it, girlfriend. So go binge your little booty off so you can talk about it with us.
Yep. Snap. No, but seriously.
It truly is the best thing that Netflix has. Like, it's so funny that there was all those talks about, cutting of stuff. Listen, Netflix has a world of hurt. The recession is coming, everybody. The money is only going to get tighter in your household. People are going to cut these streaming services. But boy, is Stranger Things something to get Netflix for. It is so good.
Yeah, no, seriously. Like, I don't know. When the first show came out, I made my wife sit down and watch it with me. And she was like, okay, cool, let's watch this. And then she immediately started loving The Clash and just like fell in love with that song. And now Kate Bishop has been a thing that has destroyed my newsfeed. Because if you're at all on social media and you watch one TikTok or reel, every other song will be some random running up the hill.
Kate Bush
nothing
song?
to do with Stranger Things, but they're using that song.
Oh, I mean, I think that speaks to the fact that they can take content from such a long time, from 20 years ago, and repurpose it. I mean, 30 years ago at this point, 35 years ago, whatever that song was.
Think about how old we are.
I know. Well, I know it was before. The song was right before me. I don't know that. I know Peter Gabriel. I know all the other people from the 80s. I don't know Kate Bush.
Yeah, no. I knew Kate Bush because I know music and I've liked music. And I had a friend who had a record store and he brought that up and I knew that song when it came out. So I'm like, okay, this is what they're doing. Cool. They made some deep cut references to music that people probably never heard of.
Yeah.
And that episode, that song, that was probably one of the best, most intense episodes of this entire series. It was essentially like, for people who watch Lost, that was the constant. That was the episode that you're like, that was the payoff. Like that. This is why you watch the show, for that one moment. Like when that episode happened, that whole sequence, I was on the edge of my seat. Like, is this gonna happen? Are they gonna kill the little ginger girl? Could they do this?
Not only did they set it up so well where the way that everyone else, all the other kids, again, I'm not watching this week to week. You're just watching this. You're watching one every time a child brutally dies. The cheerleader in the trailer, when you see it, the way that it bends back. Now the CGI is a little goofy, whatever. A child is being destroyed in front of your eyes. It is such horrific stuff, and the series just doesn't back down. It holds its own. It's all of these characters have seen so many terrible things. This is another Tuesday. They've seen so much awful stuff. The new awful stuff is just par for the course.
Yeah. But on that same note, this show has all been about escalation, right? Like season 1, you had 11 and the Demigorgon, the threat of the singular Demigorgon, right? And then when the Demigorgon comes through, they're able to stop it. And then 11 is able to use her powers to like stop Papa and then like take the Demigorgon back. And then in the second season, you get the Mind Flayer, right?
Yeah.
And it went like from 0 to like 1,000, like right off the bat. Season 3, you had the Mind Flayer now coming into our world by melting people and making himself a people body, which was pretty horrific in its own sense. Like he literally liquefied people and rats and made a body out of it.
Ew. I feel like we should talk about the seasons around the set pieces. The first season was the light bulbs in the room, right? The talking light bulbs on the wall. Season 3 was the mall. What was season 2? The streets?
Season 2 was like summer break and like hanging out at the pool and like going like being teenagers. No, that was season 3. What was season 2?
What was season 2?
Season 2 was around Halloween, and it was the kids realizing that they can't be kids anymore because remember they dressed up as Ghostbusters, and they were the only kids at their school who dressed up for Halloween because apparently the rest of the school was like, we're too old for this.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was kind of like, it was a season about like moving away from childhood, but not quite being, because that was also the season where Will got possessed and he was like full on exorcist.
And you know what's funny is I haven't watched the previous season since I've watched them the first time. They always strongly resonate with me. And it's so funny that of all the shows that we rewatched, I haven't gone back and rewatched those ones. Season 4 is still ringing in my head. I watch this show and go, man, did they luck out with these kids? That these kids are giving performances at different levels. They the Millie Bobby Brown, is that her name? Is that the 11 girl? I just, she's so strong and so connected with that character and the way that she portrays it. They're like the Harry Potter kids, correct? I mean, what else would you compare them? They've gotten better with every movie. The movies have all gotten darker and they feel like movies. We're now going to get a movie at the end of all of this, but they feel like movies.
We are definitely getting a movie out of all this because I think people need to realize that for as long as the first 7 episodes were, was it 7 episodes? It was 7 episodes that we saw so far, right?
Yeah.
These last 2 episodes are like essentially 3 more hours. Like we're going to get half of the season in one hit. And I don't know about you, but a 30-second little clip about what we were going to be getting with like the Russia, like keeping all of their monsters they catch in boxes. And I'm 100%, I'm banking on someone is going to die. And we're all going to collectively cry in a few weeks when like, it's probably going to be Will, or it's probably going to be Steve, or it's going to be someone like that. Like it's going to be someone that we emotionally invested in and it's going to rip our hearts out of our butts.
It could be any of the kids. At this point, if it could be Uma Thurman's daughter, who she's so funny and her screen presence, they write for these kids so well. And it's crazy that there's all of this CG, there's all of this great world, and the scenes are pretty funny. The scenes in the movie store are fun and are like a fun thing where they're going through the database of names to look for the weed guy. Great. It's so fun. It's like a little bit more than Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Like that show, like they're not as dumb as those kids, but they do cool CG stuff. They do cool. I'm so impressed that they've been able to get this main story on focus and on track. And even when this is all over, we could go to any weird jump off place. You could call it Stranger Things Detroit, Stranger Things, other places in the world where strange things happen, and you can go big or little with your stories. Previously we were talking about the oversaturation of Star Wars. I want more things in this vein. I love it so much, and they do so much great stuff with this new season.
Yeah. I mean, how else can you say it? I mean, this new season, I felt bad because
it took 3 years to film.
Not even that. No, that's not why I felt bad. I felt bad because I told my wife and my son I would wait to watch it with them.
Oh, and you lied right to their faces.
No, I was like, I'll wait for you guys. And then like when it came out, I watched the first 2 episodes without them. And I'm like, I got to go back. I got to start this over with you guys. And like, I even told my wife, I'm like, Steph, I did something bad. I'm so sorry. I did something bad. She's like, did you drop the baby? I'm like, no, but I watched the first 2 episodes of Stranger Things without you. And she's like, how am I going to trust you anymore?
Yeah, like, you haven't held the baby in weeks. In weeks, you haven't touched that baby.
No, like, but like this whole season, it was the beauty of binge watching is that when you can watch on your own pace, you can watch 3 or 4 episodes at once, get tired, go about your day, and then come back and go to it.
They're playing. There's tropes of the show that they've created with. And it was funny that you talked about how your wife found the Clash song and liked it, right? Or is it should I say that resonated with her? I didn't know what song was going to be the song this season. It just happened to be Running Up a Hill, which was a banger of a song, which just like, oh yeah. The execution of all of that, and coming off of the heels of like those scenes that are very clearly Silence of the Lambs, where the 2 girls are pretending to be Jodie Foster. Great scenes.
Right. And clearly this whole show took major inspiration of like The Nightmare on Elm Street, and they got friggin' Freddy Krueger in there. And
yeah, and they also like cite their sources. They like in one of the first or second episodes, they're like, you know about Freddy Krueger? You know about his demon prisons inside your mind? And it's like, yeah, that's what we're going to be doing here.
Yeah. My wife keeps asking, she's like, when do you think they're going to start making like the fourth wall breaks? Like, when do you think there's going to be a Beetlejuice reference and the Joyce is going to be sitting there like, I've never seen that movie? Or something like some on the nose kind of a joke with some of these actors who were clearly in 80s things. Like, I don't know. I'm waiting for whoever's going to come into the story next.
We get one where Joyce sees the poster for Beetlejuice and she goes, "That looks like a good movie." I think that's all. We get one of it, and it's very quick.
Yeah, or they're like at the video store. She's like, "What if we got this one?" They're like, "We've already seen Beetlejuice. It wasn't that funny." Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, that's
like something
good.
like that.
That's good.
That's all we'll get, right? But
there's really great storytelling. The other directors on the show, like however it is broken down, there's not a loss of continuity, or the flavor of the show always feels there. Sometimes you like on the original Twin Peaks, you can very clearly tell which ones are the David Lynch episodes. There's a feeling to those episodes.
It's weird now. Okay, yeah, David Lynch must be behind the camera.
And on the return, it's all 18 hours of David Lynch, which is fabulous. The show is consistent from episode to episode. Themes feel good. Characters feel I enjoy. All of the fun character bits are all earned. I love the scene when they're just using their D&D terms to be like, oh, well, this must be like a general. This is like the terms. And they just talk about it with confidence of like, right, we don't have to justify the world. Everyone's into the world of Stranger Things at this point. We're just here to go along with you. Fun.
One of the things that I've always liked about this show is that it's not like other shows about teenagers, right? Like you said, Sabrina the Teenage Witch. It's not that. It's not like Power Rangers or anything like that, where it's like almost like a glamorized version of that part of your adolescence. This show is very much like you watch it and you're like, that's kind of how I was when I was a kid. I had one friend who would swear a lot, and we would just pretend not to swear when his parents were around. Or these are the conversations that we would all have. Like you and I would have these conversations when we were 12, and my son was like, how do these kids keep getting out of the house? Why aren't their parents looking for them? I'm like, you don't know what it was like growing up in the 80s and 90s. We could leave, and then when the sun came down, if we weren't back in the house when the street lights turned on, something was wrong. But they just trusted that we would not die out there.
There was no beeps. There was no beeps when you left the house. Nothing beeped or booped or made any noises. You could just crawl out a window.
Yeah, like our parents would just be like, "Oh, where are they at today? I don't know. They're out there with friends somewhere." Do you know what they're doing? They know better. They know good enough. Like that's how it kind of was.
There was a lot of dirt hills in the early 90s by our houses. You could just play in the dirt hills for a long time, and then
there was that one like summer where we were just like playing like tag and hide and go seek in a construction site. Clearly super dangerous, but we did it anyways.
Right.
But that's what this show's kind of like. This whole vibe of the show is that it kind of has that realism to it, where like the kids actually feel like they're not watered down versions of the kids of that age.
Well, they're also they're actually high school kids. They're actually 16, 17. They're not 25-year-olds. And you know, Riverdale and all of those shows, I mean, they're great, but they're 25-year-olds. And listen, those are shows about dating, and I don't want to see children. I don't want to sexualize children. That's not the point of that. But those shows are a different type of fantasy, where this show, the strangeness of the Upside Down, the fact that there is a demon dimension literally on the other side of this town seeping through at all ports is more than enough. And I mean, this season felt the most Scooby-Doo, did it not?
Oh, yeah. But it also felt like, I don't know, it felt so, I don't know, the best way, you kind of brought it up earlier, like, it's like Harry Potter, where the first two were all happy-go-lucky, like, oh, they saved the world, there's a giant snake, yeah, they saved the world. And then, like, the last two, they're like 17, and, oh, no, that girl in my class just got eaten by a werewolf, and this dude just got impaled. Like, they're aging with the characters in a way that's, like, it feels natural, but also it feels like it's aging with their perception of time and the perception of those around them. Like when we're younger, we see things in a more glossed over, glamorous way. And then as we get older, we get more cynical. And the show seems to be getting cynical with the age of the kids.
Yeah, I will tell you, I do need some payoff for the California kids who went on the Utah adventure where that just guns were drawn on them. They've had the worst of it. And I don't know where that pays off. I mean, everyone's got to get back together again. So I'm excited for that to happen. But I was like, boy, are they going way out of the way to get up to Utah.
Their payoff is going to be, they're going to go from Utah back over to Nevada, pick up 11 and go back to Indiana. They're going to like bring their giant weapon with them to go kill the monster. That's the payoff we're going to get.
Do you think that, because the way they do action is so good. Do you think we see just 11 just choking monsters, like just flying like Neo and just choking monsters everywhere?
Do we feel like it's going to be like that? Or do I feel like it's going to be kind of like X-Men, where she's going to be like the Jean Grey, just like floating in and dissolving things around her? Like, that's where I see it going.
She has to destroy the other dimension, right? Like she has to, like, it can't exist anymore. Also, she's a killer. She hit that girl with the roller skate. She's a killer now. We know it. She's got that instinct inside of her.
Well, I mean, breaking her nose and killing those guards. I mean, it's not really common. She was always a killer. I mean, but I think by giving us context to who she is, and like, I thought the twist for number one was obviously, it was very like, I saw it coming, right? It wasn't like, oh my God, this was so out of left field. Like, I saw that coming from a mile away, but it did not feel wrong. Agreed. You watched it and you're like, I'm okay with this. This was predictable, but in the best way humanly possible.
Yeah, and I think that they're trying to paint with tiny circles here. They're trying to connect all of these things, but they try to bring it, stretch it as far as you can and then work your way up there. And I thought they did a good job with it. The fact that there's a full demon swamp thing that they just, that's just casually there and is gorgeous looking, and they get great stuff out of that performance and out of that suit. I don't want to bury the lead. I guess that's the thing you don't want to talk about, the new monster of the show. That's what people are going to discover. But like, it's great and it's terrifying and it's all of those things, right? It's the monster is up close. The monster beforehand, you could run from the Demigorgon. It could miss you. You could hide from it. You can't hide from this guy. He goes into your dreams.
And is that what makes him scarier? So the Demigorgons were the first monster was this obviously faceless beast, right? And you could fight it with fire, you could hit it, you could do this, and it didn't have any sort of personality, right? The Mind Flayer, it wanted to possess Will, and it kind of had a voice when it was speaking through Will a little bit. But now that we have the Mind Flayer, something that was human that is now a monster that can use logic with you, and it basically is rationalizing what it's doing while it's doing it, I think that makes it even more terrifying. Because he's coming up to them, he's preying on their fears, full of Freddy Krueger style, and then he's like, he's preying on their guilt. Like, you did this. Let me help you relieve that pain. Let me take it from you. And then you see that they're dying, but they're accepting it.
Yeah, but that's
the most perverse way possible.
Yeah, for sure. But that's also, I mean, that's if you were to describe teenagers, it's actively doing things that make you feel guilty, and at the time you feel incredibly guilty about it. Everyone tells you should feel guilty about it. I mean, that's just that age as well.
Yeah, because I mean, when we were teenagers, we made one mistake or two, we would just be like, the world is over, I did this, everything's ruined, my life is over. And then like the next day you're like, I'm just going to wake up and eat my Fruit Loops.
You have no context for things. You've only been on the planet 15 years. These things feel very important to you at the time. And then you have some reference to time and you're like, oh shit, that was nothing.
Right? But no, on kind of a separate note, but kind of relevant to that same topic, was that essentially what the Vecna is doing is assisted suicide. That he's using their guilt to allow them to feel like maybe this is the way I'm doing this. But I was watching another amazing show that I think people need to stop sleeping on. It's the Orville from Seth MacFarlane, the Star Trek show, which is probably the best Star Trek show since the original Star Trek. It's amazing.
People that are really excited about the genre and want to do the stories they would never thought were actually going to happen in Star Trek.
Right. But in the first episode of this new season, there was this whole debate about suicide. This one character felt guilt for everything and saw the world as it was right then, and then essentially killed himself. And they found a way to bring him back. And the whole moral was that they were like, what you don't have is the benefit of understanding that there's no problem that time cannot fix. And that was what they were kept impounding. Like, look, the situation sucks right now. Yes. And I see why you did what you did, but time will fix it. You just need to be patient and allow time to heal that wound. And with Stranger Things in season 4, you have a lot of these situations where these kids think that the situation is it because they don't understand the concept of, or they don't have the context of time, right? The Vecna is preying on these kids and preying on their guilt, and they're just letting it happen because they don't know that time will absolve that guilt.
And well, I think we're definitely building, multiple people said a war is coming to Hawkins. And I think we're going to get an end game. I think that the dimensions are going to merge. I think we're going to see fighting in the streets. I think we're going to get all of our characters do some wrestler signature move and kill a bat monster and move to the next scene. And I think that's all. I think that's what this is all building towards.
Right. I mean, the Vecna had killed how many kids? 3 kids so far? And opened up 3 gates with each kid.
Right. That we know. And they can absolutely be like, oh, he's been killing kids. I mean, however many kids you want him to have killed. Yeah.
They can off screen a couple people, right?
Yeah, we can accept
that. Yeah. Right. But what we know is that the big hunt to make 11 a superhero. She's now free of her guilt because now she doesn't blame herself for killing all the other kids because she now knows one did it. So now her guilt is free. Time healed that wound. So now she's going to become powerful again and realize that she's not a monster. And she's going to come back.
Yeah, but I don't think she comes back like the superhero. I think she comes back like Freddy Krueger. I think she comes back like a Jason. Yeah, I think that her intentions are good, but Demon powers lead to demon things. Bloody noses and ripping off heads. She will accomplish her goals. She has things that she loves, and she will protect them.
I think, in my opinion, what's probably going to happen for her is that at the end of season 5, I fully expect 11 to die. Right?
Yeah.
I expect her to close the gate or destroy the Upside Down or whatever it is, and that be the thing that does it, right? And it's going to be kind of what we got the tease of in the first season, where she willingly accepted that she could die by throwing the thing back through the gate.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be the tease anymore. Like, we keep getting these little teases where something bad's going to happen, but they always get saved. But now they've even said, these next finale, this next final season, this is the Game of Thrones where no one is safe anymore. People are going to die.
Yeah, but it's also Game of Thrones written by fans. It's written by people that are fans of their own show. You know what I mean? That Game of Thrones, the end of it felt so rushed and slapdash for no reason, because the early stuff had been so calm and patient and took its time. And this show is very clearly setting up these people and these relationships. And, I'm excited for the movie that pays off all of these things. I think I think it's going to be satisfying, but I wonder if they have more in them. Do you think we follow these boys? Do you think we see these boys in 5 years? Do you think we see these boys when they go to college?
What I think is interesting is that when they filmed this season as if these kids were like sophomores or juniors. And now that the show, they acknowledge that they're going to have to age with the show. So whatever happens in the finale, there's going to be a 3 or 4 year time jump. They're going to be pushing straight up onto 89 or 90.
That's so true, because it literally was filmed. It took 3 years to film. That was probably 4 years ago at this point.
When we revisit these characters in season 5, we're going to see them out of high school.
You think there's going to be a season 5?
They already announced it. Season 5 is the finale season.
Right, but that's just so the end of season 4 is the movie, and then we get a season 5?
Well, it's not even a movie. So it's the last 2 episodes are movie length, but they're still episodes.
Okay, and then we're going to get a season 5?
They're going to get a season 5, and season 5 is going to be like banana balls. Like, it's going to be the hardcore shit.
Oh boy, Taylor, I'm very excited to know that, because we're going to finish up with high school. Because that's what as I'm watching this, I'm like, man, if something ends the world or the town, the kids don't get prom. Like, I know it's a silly thing to think, but we've gone through all these milestones. Why would we not do that milestone on the show?
Wouldn't it be weird though? Like, if they started the next season, like the season 5, and it's like, they're like 18 or 19, and one of them comes out with like a kid, like,
sure.
If they just like straight up, like, started off like, we had peace, we lived it, like we had peace, and now we had no idea that the worst war was right around the corner, and now we know what we're fighting for.
But now that I know that there's a 5th season, what if we just go Chaos Dimension? Like, she closes the gate, but like, unfortunately, the world's merged, and season 5 starts with them and like just Terminator 2, just shooting demons with guns.
One kid has an eye patch, like, we've been fighting for so long. Yeah.
I mean, that's the other thing. I don't think they've been so great with their tone and with their references and keeping within that genre of high school film. You're very correct. There is definitely a big homage to Nightmare on Elm Street. Not only tones and characters. I mean, the cheerleading character especially. You know what I mean? That's right out of that, where those characters have never been what our characters are. I'm glad to know that there's more. I wonder what happens, because I feel like the charm of the show as well is that we don't lose anybody. You don't want to watch Scooby-Doo knowing that Velma was murdered.
I see them having a death, but I don't see them having like all the deaths. I feel like one character is going to die, and we're going to get one death. And I do feel like it's probably going to be Will, solely because Will was such a huge focus in the first 2 seasons that a death, like his death, would be a massive gut punch to literally every single character.
And they did him so dirty with that haircut. He really should. I mean, he's got the worst haircut on the show.
Like, I 100% feel like they're going to go like full on like It Part 2, right? Will's going to die, and all his like deathbed or whatever, he's going to tell like Mike that he's like is like, I loved you. I'm sorry I never told you. And then he's going to die. And you're going to be like, oh, no.
I think from what you just said and the will they, won't they with Steve and the reporter girl.
Yeah.
I think they might kill off the older brother.
Think Jonathan might die?
I think the older brother who wills, I think he is the thing that has to go so that they can mourn and then he can move in with them as their new fake brother. I think it's going to be something like that. Because who does Nancy choose? Does she choose the boy? He's turned into a good boy. The jock boy from the first seasons turns out he's one of our favorite characters on the show.
That was the biggest twist of the entire show to me, was that Steve, the kid we hated so much in the first season, became the best character of the damn show.
He's the best. He's just he's the bully from any 80s movie. If you just were, if he learned the lesson at the end of the movie and then we started the next day with him, he's like, okay, I'm on the block. Hey, you, like, he's still who he is, but he's literally
the guy from Cobra Kai. Like, he is the reformed bully who we now root for. Like,
but the guy from Cobra Kai still knows kung fu, so he's still kind of cool.
But no, I don't know, man. I don't know who could be the death. Like, I don't think they're going to kill Max because they already teased. To kill her would just be like to waste that episode.
She ran up the hill. She wanted to trade places with her brother. She wished God would have killed her, but then she chose to live. And the boy that she hadn't been talking to, he knew the song because he still's got a crush on her. This is all great storytelling. This is built up.
I could see the time jump and be like, oh, now they have a kid together. They got married because he loved her so much. Like,
the kids have gone through so much trauma. They're not, even though they're children, emotionally they're not children. 11 is basically married to that boy. Their parents are kind of what do we do about it? Like, but like, yeah, all of that stuff.
All right, cool, whatever. I mean, they're getting married. We know this. Like,
they got that cabin in the woods that no one's living in. Someone's got to move back into that cabin and make it livable again.
Yeah, no, Hopper's going to move back and marry Joyce, and then Will and 11 are going to live in that cabin. And like, that's what's going to happen.
Hopper's storyline is so nuts that they were God. Let's do a gulag story in our Stranger Things. Let's just have a prison story in the middle of our thing.
Can we just let Hopper get cynical and talk about how he's just going to die and then have like an 11th hour epiphany about his purpose in the universe is to protect the people he loved? I'm like, that was the most emotionally draining roller coaster of a character arc that I was not ready for.
He's Logan, right? He's Wolverine. You can't stop him. He regenerates over time. He's just a monster of a man.
But like just like Logan, right? Like, he was cynical, he was broken, and then at the end he realized what he was fighting for, and he got that beautiful Papa moment because he basically accepted that kid was his kid. And that he needed to protect it at all costs, and that's what we got. And now I'm just like, I swear to God, if they kill Hopper, I'm gonna be done with the show forever.
Hopper's gotta die. Hopper's gotta die. He's gotta fight him in a cave with a sword, and then he blows up dynamite. But
we had that ending already. We had that ending with season 3 where he sacrificed himself.
I know, but it didn't take. Now he's really got to do it.
That's why they're not going to do it. They're not going to keep doing the same thing. That's why Max is immune now, because she had like her running up the hill moment. She's safe. Hopper had his moment. He's safe.
Winona Ryder could finally make the sacrifice and go live in the Upside Down for a while and come out like a grizzled, turn into a Sarah Connor. She could be the one that turns into living on the other side.
She comes back all jacked with a headband like, I'm here to save you.
I'm here to save you. You don't know what's over there. And he's like, I'm the one who saves you. And she's like, not today, mister. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I love that the world feels it's open to these things. And I also just forgot that Stranger Things feels like summertime for some reason. The other ones were on July 4th last year, or, a couple years ago. It was on that, the show was about July weekend, but it also happened then. The next one's going to come out, July 2nd?
Yeah.
It's just like a summertime. There's just like a summer feel to it. It's like that adventure I always want to go on.
Really, it is. And I don't know. I think fans kind of pointed out that this season took place right before summer break. I mean, it took place during spring break, right? And one of the episodes was literally Will's birthday, and they didn't acknowledge it. And I feel like even though the writers they realized they messed up, that they're going to acknowledge the fact that their lives have become so complicated that even trivial things like birthdays aren't even a big deal anymore.
Yeah, I feel like that. Like when the mom was freaking out, like, what are we gonna do now? It's like, right, you've lived. These things aren't hearsay. Monsters live in the forest, everybody, and they're terrifying, and it just pops up all the time. So yeah, it's
now one thing I want to talk about is Little Homeland Jr., aka the captain of the basketball team.
Oh yeah. What about that kid?
Dude, it was like, I know that a lot of people, like myself included, cheered when 11 smacked that crazy bully in the face with the roller skate. Like, I was like, yes, that's what she gets because she's work. When this guy eventually gets his, I'm not going to be sad because they made such a good job at me hating him for everything that he is.
Yeah.
He is essentially like a cult leader. Like he radicalized an entire town on a religious notion that there's D&D is making demon children. It's ritualistic. Like, I was watching this, like, I hate so much of the paranoia of the 80s that this is a thing that really did exist.
Oh, it's tied in so wonderfully. And it's also great to see the trope of the bully character who's not a racist. He is a bully and an asshole and believes all these things, but he is fine with all ethnicities. It's all of these things that the show does as well. That it's able to age up sort of these 80s tropes, but put them into a different kind of shape. Yeah, he's going to get his comeuppance. He's just got it. He's going to think it's Jesus, but it's not Jesus. It's going to be someone from the upside down.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like,
what set pieces haven't we gone back to? I feel like they're going to blow up a gym. I feel like they're going to blow up the school. I feel like we get something big for the final. For the last hurrah. Maybe the trailer park.
Or maybe they're going to go back to Hawkins Labs and find out that underneath the lab they had their own cache of crap and they're going to have to destroy the lab.
I mean, they have to go, right. You said they opened 3 doors plus the door in the lake. And then, correct.
There's the lake door, there's the trailer park door, and then there's that one in the middle of the freeway that everyone forgot existed.
Yes, which I think is going to be, like, oh yeah, that's the one you really should be watched out for. And then also, right. There could be anything underneath that lab. There could be anything you want to. Also, there's probably something in Russia, right? You're going to find out that there's something is going on with that facility. There's monsters. We're going to go on a monster. We're going to go on a dungeon crawl, right? He's going to
we saw that in the preview that Hopper and Joyce find that like essentially like an armory of monsters all trapped up in boxes. Like, you know that Russia's been hoarding some crap, so they're going to walk in this room and be like, it's like the warehouse from Indiana Jones with like, oh, but there's monsters, not boxes of relics, it's monsters.
And it's funny that you know the show loves its homages to things. We have not had a Raiders of the Lost Ark God coming down and sucking the souls out of everybody. We haven't seen something like that, right? You know what I mean? That's all. We haven't seen that yet. This movie
we've been getting right close, and I feel like when the Mind Flayer comes through the highway portal, that's what I'm going to be calling it because that's the one they keep forgetting about.
Sure, the highway portal.
We're probably going to get this moment where like that some poor soul is going to be driving their car down and then like right into the portal thing, and then the monsters are going to like pull the car in and just eat the dude, and then like they're going to crawl out in droves. Like that's what we're probably going to get.
Do we think
moment?
Do we think bad guy ever looks like that pretty blonde boy again? Do you think he projects that on, or no? That's what he looks like now.
I think that's who he is now, and he's just going to accept it and just start murdering people because the little 11 girl made him a monster, so I'm going to be the monster she made me look like, kind of a thing. Or maybe he was promised a new shot at reality by the Mind Flayer if he does all this crap. And
oh yeah, for sure, yeah. Help me shape reality. You can do whatever you want to do, whatever you want to do after you help me destroy this other place.
I mean, because that's his whole motivation. He believes he can literally reshape reality around himself. So he's probably like, I can bring this monster here. We can start.
Isn't that the tale that the Emperor told? Isn't that the same lie that they told Darth Vader? Darth Sidious was able to change the face of people. Isn't that exactly what he told to that guy?
Pretty much. Like, I don't know. I'm starting to think that the Mind Flayer may not be the big bad versus the Vecna, because the Vecna is the start of it all, right? And I think he could probably be like, well, I'm just using the mind flayer to get my goal, and like, oh no, so you're worse. Okay.
Yeah, and they keep, and what's funny is they've said, this guy's a foot soldier, this guy's a sorcerer, this guy's who's the red dragon? I don't think we've seen that character. I think that's what all this builds towards. If this is Dungeons and Dragons, the biggest creature, right, is a dragon. That's the thing. It's like whatever the big bad in the game is, that's what this is building towards. The demon guy from that Disney cartoon, Fantasia from 1955. I mean, that guy's got to show up.
Right. But I don't know. I mean, we got 3 weeks until we see, and the internet collectively melts down again for these next 2 episodes.
I love that Nerddom has attached to this. This feels so. I don't know how are they doing fan service better than other shows? Because I don't feel like it's very fan servicey, but it is all fan service because it's all my characters. I refer to that girl as 11. I want her to. She is 11 to me. I see her in other movies. I'm like, oh, 11's pretending to be Sherlock Holmes. That's cool. Like
when she was in Godzilla, I'm like, just pick him up.
Just rip his mouth open.
Like, the bad guy's coming at you, shooting at you, just stop him. Like, what are you doing, girl?
I would love to see Godzilla versus a psychic Akira type 11. Just like getting chomped on but putting up force fields. Just fighting Godzilla. That'd be great.
I don't know, but all right. So, final thoughts. Was season 4 the best thing ever, or do you think it can top it?
I don't know. I think it will top it. I think there's too much momentum. I think they got lightning in a bottle with that running up the hill. I think that the way that they incorporated that, I don't think they can. They're going to try to force it again. I don't think they can ever do it. I think this was they did so well. That cultural crossover, that the scene resonated with people, that I wanted to listen to the song so that I could remember that intensity of it. I mean, that's some great stuff. Yeah. Also,
there's going to be an entire generation that's going to have Vietnam flashbacks of Max running up that hill. Yeah,
yeah, that's right.
We hear the song and be like,
it was so scary. She did that thing in the middle of the field. It was so scary. There's no wires there. That would freak you the hell out if you were a kid.
Freaked me out when I saw it. I mean, like, what do you mean a kid? Like, 35-year-old dude, that was an intense scene.
Yeah. I'm so happy that this show doesn't shy away, and I'm happy that the cast has been able to age with it. It feels so satisfying. Maybe I need to go back and watch it, and maybe those first episodes were innocent. The show has never felt innocent to me. It has always felt kids doing extraordinary things, and now they feel like tiny 25-year-olds, but they're not. They look like babies still. So
to put it into context, I mean, they're all still like the same age as their characters. Tom Welling was 24 when he was playing Clark Kent at age 14. This is not the case. These characters are 14 playing 14-year-olds.
He was 24 playing a 14-year-old. What do you think a 14-year-old looks like? What do you mean he's 14?
Hey, he was Superman.
I guess his body absorbed the sun. He looked like a 24-year-old.
Yeah, he had insane muscle definition for a 14-year-old.
Crazy. I gotta. Okay, I'll ask. That's That's a crazy fact to know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Michael Rosenbaum was like 29, but he was supposed to be like 25 in that show. So
sure,
he was supposed to be older.
Yeah, he's just fudging it a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you think that breadcrumb, that there's other 11s that live on the streets that are like the New Mutants? Do you think those kids ever pop back up again?
Well, that was originally supposed to be a spin-off show that never happened. I hope they revisit those characters, especially that. What was her, number 9 or something? Whatever her collie was her name.
I don't need to have another Stranger Thing. It could just be tangentially. It could just be in this world. I just want more fun, crazy things. Because if this is true, what else is true in that world?
Crazy stuff.
It's funny enough, though. The hype mill tries to get me going for so many different things, and usually I can see them a mile coming. Man, this Stranger Things, though, I don't know if it's the years, the fact that it's been going on for so long, but like, boy, am I excited, boy. boy, am I ready for more of it. I can't believe they're making us wait so long. I can't wait for the new one to come out to see all of the stuff because, man, this season was so fun.
Season was fun. And I feel like the ending that we're going to get in a couple weeks where we get these final 2 episodes, it's either going to wreck us collectively or it's going to like satisfy us. And to find out that there's another season coming, it's going to collectively break our hearts.
I think it's going to break our hearts. I mean, it's already been an emotional.
Can we handle that in this economy? Can we handle the collective heartbreak?
I don't know. If everyone gets depressed when Stranger Things happen and no one goes to work the next day for mental health days, does the economy just shut down because everyone needs a mental health day?
Yeah,
they killed off Joyce. He Taylor. He dropped her. The monster bit and he tried to catch her and she just fell and he can't. He's like, no. Like, I don't know. Any of them could die. It's too much.
Any of them can die. And I'm going to be emotionally wrecked. I'm going to I'm going to have
you know who's an unsatisfying death? If Nancy's parents die. The two parents if the dad and the mom are like, we'll stay here. If they die, I'll be very sad because I feel like they are normies and shouldn't be involved in all of this.
It's like they were innocent. They didn't deserve this.
They did nothing to deserve this.
They have no idea what's going on. It's like the kid's cat, Dustin's cat. Like when that got eaten, I was like, the cat had nothing to do with this.
The cat's a good cat. The cat's such a good cat. Leave him alone.
Yeah, no, but I don't know, man. Stranger Things. I think this finale is going to wreck us, one way or another.
I think it's gonna be sad. I think it's gonna be so sad. The way that the story unfolded, the way that we were brought into what 11 did, and how she will feel guilty for this. She's gonna feel guilty for this. She was the one who threw him through the hole in the wall. I mean, she is responsible for this, and she feels like she's got to take action for it. So
yeah, no. The moment she finds out that number 1 is the monster, it's gonna break her.
She's gonna rip it. She's gonna go through that dimension and destroy everything that's over there. She's going to bring 4 pairs of roller skates. She is going to kill everybody with roller skates, as many people as she can.
She's going to have them floating around her and using them as weapons. Just
Also, we're out of time, so we can't even talk about birthday parties at roller rinks. But man, I think I might need to get rollerblades in my life again. I think I'm ready to go back to blading.
Well, come up and visit. We actually have a roller rink down the street from my house, and I'm like, I'm going to go.
Do they play sick 90s jams in there?
I think it was early 2000s, but we can make requests. We can make it. We can have it. All right, everyone.
Want you in my room, Taylor. I just boom, boom, boom. I want you in my room. Forever in my room.
You played that song on an unhealthy level.
We can play any of the DDR songs. They can play Butterfly for us. Whatever you want to dance to.
Oh my God. Well, thank you all for joining us. If you want to support our channel and keep us and help us keep doing what we're doing, go to patreon.com/theculturednerd. Again, I've been your host, Taylor Murphy, my co-host, Michael Santel, and our 10 beautiful and wonderful supporters. Thank each and every one of you for supporting us. And then, thank you all for joining us. Like, subscribe, scan that QR code if you've not seen any of our stuff before. We will see you all next time.
Be good people. Stay hydrated. We'll see you soon.